Hello pilots of the internet and welcome to Foldable Flight. I have just a few announcements to make before we get into the tutorials for this video. So the first of those is that my book is available internationally through Amazon. I thought it would be available in literally every country where Amazon does business. It turns out that is not currently the case, but know that I am working to make it available in as many countries as possible. So if you're interested, check out your country's Amazon website and see if you can find my book there. The next thing is that this is the formal announcement of the 2021 Foldable Flight Paper Airplane Designers Contest. So if you design your own planes and you'd like to see them featured on this channel, be sure to visit foldableflight.com/contest where you can read all the rules as well as find out what the rewards are if you win. Now the rules and the rewards are a little bit different than they were last year, so be sure to visit that page before you make any submissions. So with all of that out of the way, let's see the winners of last year's competition, and then I'll teach you how to fold them. Coming in at number 5, we have Draken by Emil Alanius, and this is just a beautiful jet design that looks a lot like a real airplane. Now it doesn't fly as well as some others, but you have to give it credit, this thing just looks amazing. All you will need in order to fold Saab 35 Draken is an A4 sheet of paper, and with that we'll begin by folding the right edge to the left edge. With the paper in this orientation and my folded edge on the right, I'm going to now take this edge here and land it on that right edge. And this should make a crease right through that top right corner. Once I do that, I can flip the paper over and do the same thing on this side, now folding to this edge. Okay. And now I'll open the paper up into this orientation, and I want to fold this edge here to land on this edge, so my crease is going to start right at that corner. And now I'll open the paper up, do the same thing, now folding this edge to land on this edge. And I'll open that up. And now I want to flip the paper over, and I'm going to fold this top point down so that I make a horizontal crease right through the intersection of these two diagonal creases. And I want to make sure my top point lands on the center crease as I do that. Okay, and I'll open the paper back up and flip it over. And now I'm going to poke this point right here and pull these in to crease on these existing diagonal creases and kind of collapse the paper into this orientation. Now I'm going to flip the paper over and fold kind of on these existing creases here. I'm just pulling this outside layer in, like so. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. And your plane should look like this. Now I'm going to flip the paper over, and I want to fold this whole triangle up, and I should be making a crease that goes right from this point to this point. And now I will fold from this top point to this point right here. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay. And now I'm going to actually unfold both of those and flip the paper over. And you can see we've got these creases now on this layer here. And I want to fold from this point to this point. But I'm actually tucking this whole section, this whole triangular section behind while folding from that crease to that crease. So I'm just mountain folding just like this. And now I can go ahead and fold those layers back. And I'm going to now fold this whole top triangle down right along this top layer here. And I'm going to fold it forward again. Basically, you can see we've got this diagonal crease here and this diagonal crease here. I want to fold forward so that the new edge I create is going from this point to that point. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll point out to you again exactly how I found those references. Okay, so you can see this edge here kind of spans that gap from this diagonal crease to this diagonal crease, and those corners are landing right on those creases. Now I can tuck this whole section here in that's kind of doubled over into this pocket. So I'm just going to open that up and work to tuck that into the pocket. Like so. Okay, and your plane should look like this. And now I'm going to fold from this point right here to about 1 centimeter from this central point on the back edge. So you can see I'm just pulling this layer forward, and I want this crease to start at that point. And then on the back edge, I'm kind of just estimating something that's close to 1 centimeter from this central crease. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. You could fold your plane in half and fold to match that way, but I think it's pretty easy just to estimate and get the distance that you're folding to be equidistant from the center on this side as compared to the other side. And then we can tuck these layers in under those flaps like so. And now I'm going to fold from this point here through this point right here. So I'm folding right along there to there, and it's a little tricky to do that. I like to kind of place my finger there and start my crease, kind of just tack my crease a little bit there so it makes it a little easier to find as I then work to curl these thicker layers and place that crease correctly. And this layer may want to kind of come undone as you do that too. Really try to hold that tightly to these other layers as you fold. And now this time I will fold the plane in half and fold my other side to match. Having a little trouble working with these really thick layers, but hopefully you can control them. Okay. Now you can see we are well on our way to creating the general shape of this plane, but we're going to open the paper up so we're looking at this side rather than this side. And I want to fold from this point here to this point down here. So we're looking at this point at the top edge here of really thick layers. We're going to be creasing from there all the way to this point where this crease is intersecting the back edge. And you can see when I open it up exactly where that crease goes, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. And now I can really easily just push down on this center crease and perform a jet fold like so. And we are ready to look at the bottom here. I'm going to kind of fold the wings up and set my plane down like this. And I want to fold this flap up right over this edge. And I'll unfold that, open my plane up, and now I'm going to pull this whole thing up using those creases we just made. This one will need to be reversed. And your plane should look like this. And we just have one last step, and that is to inside reverse fold this top edge. So I'm going to fold down, starting right at the top edge of this layer, just below the top edge where this layer is intersecting, kind of in that corner. I'm folding down on this, and I want this crease to run parallel to this crease here. So the wing crease of the plane, I'm trying to make this new crease parallel to that. And anything close will work fine. And I can unfold that, and now inside reverse fold like so. And there you go. This is a finished Saab 35 Draken. As you can see, it is a beautiful plane, and it does fly. So thanks for watching, and as always, good luck flying your plane. At number 4, we have El Dardo by Enrique Conde, and this is just a beautiful paper airplane. I really love the proportions of this plane, and you can see it flies well also. All you will need in order to fold El Dardo is an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper, and we will begin by folding this right edge to the left edge. Try to be accurate on this step by lining up your corners as nicely as you can. Once you've done that, we can open this up. And now I am going to fold this top edge to land on my left edge, and that should mean that my crease goes right through my top left corner up here. Again, accuracy is important on this step. And we'll open that up. And now fold this edge here to land on the right edge, and that means my crease should go through the top right corner. Okay, and now I will open that up and flip my paper over, and I want to fold this top point down, or the top edge down rather, so that I'm making a crease that goes right through the intersection of these two diagonals. So as I pull that down, I kind of look for the point at which these diagonals are converging. And I just want to tack that point down very gently. Make sure I'm lining up my center crease here with the center crease on the layer below. And then I can crease all the way across. I'll now open that up, flip the paper back over, and now I'm just going to poke that point right there, and I can pull in on these creases and flatten my plane into this orientation. This is called the water bomb base, and it's used in many paper airplanes. I'm now going to fold this point here up to the top point. I'll do the same thing on the other side. And I will flip my paper over and fold this top point down as far as it will go. It should catch over here and here. And so we're just kind of folding it at its natural limit. Okay, and I'll flip the paper back over, and now I can unfold each of these and open this whole pocket up forward like so, and I can kind of just push in on the side and flatten it into this shape, and do that on both sides. So your plane should look like this. Now I'm going to flip the paper over, and you can see we have these pockets here. I'm going to open up one pocket and reach in, grabbing both of these layers and folding. There's an edge that runs from this point out to this point here, and I'm folding that edge in at a 45-degree angle so that it lands on this center crease here. So I'm just pulling in like so and folding, and it should look like this. I'll do that same thing on the other side. Opening up the pocket, pulling in. And creasing. Now I'll go ahead and flip over. In this step, I'm going to fold in like so. And basically what I'm trying to do is I'm taking this crease here and I'm landing it on my center crease. And you can see we have that same crease on the other side, so it's going to be nice and easy. We can begin folding and just try to get that crease right to that top point at the center and land that crease down here on the center as well. And then we can now flip this triangular flap back across the center like so, and then repeat those steps on the other side. So I'm folding, landing this crease right here on the center. And I'll fold this triangular flap back across the center. And your plane should look like this. Now we're going to go ahead and narrow these flaps by folding in to the center like so. I'll do that on the left side as well. And then I will open both of those back up. And I'm going to fold this edge into the center. And same on the other side. And now we're going to do what's called a rabbit ear fold on each of these flaps. So basically I'm folding in on this diagonal crease and this diagonal crease at the same time. So you can see I'm kind of just pinching the layer in like that, and we're going to create another crease that goes from this point here out to that point by kind of just gradually pinching this, and I want my crease to go right through that corner. And once you've kind of pinched it into this orientation, you can flatten it like so. I'll do the same thing on this side, so I'm just kind of folding in on both of those creases simultaneously, working into the middle and making sure my crease is going right through that point, and then laying the rabbit ear down like so. Now I'll open up one side and flip this whole tab into that side there, and then close up this rabbit ear once again. And that's going to be the cockpit of our plane, you can see. And now I'm just folding this whole thing in half around that cockpit. And I'm now going to fold the wings, and that's the last step here. So we're basically just folding this edge right here to land on that bottom edge, and that defines our wing angle, which we just follow all the way to the back edge of the plane. Okay, and then I just flip it over, fold this side to match. And there you go. When we open up the wings, you can see this is a finished L Dardo, which is just a beautiful paper airplane. I love the proportions of it, and I love that cockpit at the front. Really, really cool. You may find that it needs a little bit of up elevator, but I don't think you'll need a ton. And one thing that you may have trouble with is it may really want to turn left or right and bank. You can, of course, if you want, add some fins on the outer edge, but that is totally optional. Just something small like that will add a bit of directional stability, and you can do that on both sides. But that is up to you if you feel like that's something that your plane will benefit from. And with that, good luck flying your plane. And coming in third in last year's contest, we have C-13 Cobra, designed by Carson Acosta. This plane locks together and flies exceptionally well. I was very, very impressed with its performance, as well as just the elegance of its design. All you will need in order to fold C-13 Cobra is an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper, and we will begin by folding this right edge to the left edge. Accuracy is always important on this step. It will divide your plane in two, and getting this perfectly will help your plane to be symmetrical. And once we've done that, we can open that back up. And now we'll fold this top edge to the bottom edge. Okay, and we'll open it up again. And now fold this top edge here to the crease we just made. Now we can open that up, and we want to flip our paper over so that this crease now is a mountain crease, and we can grab that, and we want to pull it so that it lands on this horizontal crease here. And then we'll go ahead and fold this top edge to this edge here. Okay, and we'll unfold that crease and flip our paper over. And now we're going to fold, basically this edge is going to land on the center, but if we start folding, you can see we have a crease on this layer here, and we basically want to land that crease along the length of this center crease, and this crease here can go along this edge right here. So as we're folding, we can kind of find both of those reference points, and we want to make sure our crease goes through the intersection of this crease here and the center crease. And the way I do that is I'm lining this crease up here, that crease up there, and then finally, once I have that aligned, I can crease through the layers like so. And then for the next side, I'm basically going to pull this flap over to the right, and then I can just start folding like so. And again, I'm lining this crease up on my center crease. Okay, and with the plane like this, I can now just push this flap over to the left and flatten it into this orientation here. Okay, and now I'm going to rotate this and kind of open up the left side and pinch this here to hold all these layers together. And I'm going to open that up. So not worrying about the left side right now. I'm pinching this layer together, opening it up, and I want to fold this edge here to land on that crease right there. Okay, and I'll actually unfold that. And I'll open that side up, pinching this side now. Right here, holding this layer to this flap, and I'll open this up and land now this edge here on that crease. And this time I will actually just go ahead and close that layer. And now I can close this layer as well. And your plane should look like this. Now I'm going to fold from this point here to this point here on this top layer. And I'll do the same thing on the other side, folding from this point to that point. And I'll open those up. And now I can open up these layers here. And that's just going to make it easier now for me to reverse the creases we just made. So I'm just bending this little triangular section here in the opposite direction. So it goes behind those other layers. I'll do the same thing on this side, just bending that in the opposite direction along that existing crease. And when your plane looks like this, you can just fold along these existing creases again to tuck those layers back in. And now I will flip my plane over, and you can see we have this little pocket at the front. And this is a little tricky, but basically I want to fold this edge, this half of the top edge here, to land on this edge right here, and the half of this top half, excuse me, I'm struggling to say this, the top portion of this half of the pocket to land here. So I'll do that one side at a time. Basically, I'm pulling like so, and you can see I'm trying to land this edge right there, and I'm creasing on the inside here right until it gets to the center. And then I'll unfold, and you can see I've made that crease right there. And I'll do the same thing here now, pulling this edge to right there. And you can see we've kind of made these two creases that meet at the middle. And now when I fold my plane in half along that existing center crease, you can see that little elbow is going to swing forward. This is called the LaFosse lock that we're making. We're just using that existing center crease to fold in half and allowing that section to swing forward. And then we can lay our plane on the table like this. And to make the wings, we're going to begin our crease right where that lock is at the front of the nose. And I would go just the tiniest bit above it. I mean like a millimeter above it. And that's to prevent it from tearing at that point. And I'm trying to land this edge here on this corner. So you can see my wing crease starts here above the nose at that kind of joint and continues upward toward the back of the plane. And the way you can determine the slope of that is by landing this edge here on this corner of the plane. Once you do one side, you just flip it over and fold the other side to match. Though depending on how close you get to this lock, you may need to release the other wing of your plane as you fold this, or that elbow right there, that joint, could tear. If you're putting too much tension on that point, it could tear. So you can see I'm actually folding my other wing without having them match. And there is some risk to that. It risks that you don't get them perfectly symmetrical. But I happen to trust myself enough to do it this way. And you can see this is a finished C-13 Cobra, which is just a really elegant paper airplane. It is brutally efficient and flies exceptionally well. So with all that said, good luck flying your plane. Coming in second place in last year's competition was Artemis by Paper Base. Now I was very impressed with the complexity of the shape of the plane, while it was very simple to fold, and that's a difficult thing to achieve. It also flies quite well and was just a wonderful submission overall. All you will need in order to fold Artemis is an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper, and we will begin by folding this right edge to the left edge. Accuracy, as always, is important, so try to line up those corners as best as you can. Doing well on this step will aid the symmetry of the rest of your plane. And now with this right edge here as our folded edge, I can pull this top edge here and land it on that edge. And my crease should go right through that top right corner. Okay, and now I can flip it over and do the same thing on the other side, folding this top edge now to the left edge. And I'll open it up. And now fold this top point down to this point right here. And I'll crease across, and then just go ahead and unfold that. And we're now going to fold so that this line right here lands on this edge here. And again, I want my point to land on the center crease. So something like that. The next step is a little bit trickier. We are now going to kind of force open this pocket to create a crease right along this edge. And this is the first step in a swivel fold. So I'm just running my finger along the inside the pocket along the edge of this top layer to create a crease there. And once I have that, I can then kind of just pull this pocket open and swivel this side in. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to land this crease here along this edge of the paper. And I'm trying to land down here, this edge, along the flat bottom edge of the plane. So if you can get both of those references in the right place, you can crease along this whole edge. And I know that's a little bit tricky, but you'll get to see it again here on the left side. I'm going to first open this pocket while holding this top layer down and pull open to create that crease right along this top layer. And then once I have that crease, I can pull that whole side in while swiveling this pocket forward and land this crease here on that edge and this portion down here along the bottom edge. Okay, and your plane should look like this. Now I'll go ahead and fold this top edge here to land on the center crease. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. And you'll see we have these tabs that we can use to lock these layers together. Basically, I'm sliding this tab behind this layer. And I'll do the same thing on the other side, just sliding that tab in behind the layer, and now those layers are all locked together. And I can now crease from this point here to this point here. And it can be a little hard not to get your crease to curve along this point up towards this point here. But just try to get it straight. If it curves slightly, it's not the biggest deal. And you're pulling tight to this corner. Okay, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. Just pulling right from there down to this point here. Okay, and now I'll flip the plane over, and I'm going to fold along this crease here. We have this crease. I'm basically going to mirror that crease on this top side, and I just pull along this, and you'll see it will kind of naturally want to do that. And make sure that your crease goes right through this point back here, where this edge is intersecting the back edge. So it should look just like that, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and now I'll just put those back in that position and fold the plane in half. And it's time to fold the wing crease. And basically I'm going to start just a little bit above the nose here. And I'm going to create a crease that runs parallel to this crease here. So as I open this up, basically I'm just trying to make this crease run parallel to what's going to be our fin here. So I'm narrowing the back until that feels like it's just about parallel. And then that's where you can crease and make your wing. And once you do one side, you flip over and just fold the other side to match. Okay, and we can open that up. Set our fins to be vertical while keeping our wings horizontal. And you can give it a slight dihedral angle, like so. And this plane may need just a little bit of up elevator if you find that it's diving slightly when you throw it. Try to bend the back edges of the wings up just slightly, and that will help it to glide really, really nicely. And as you've seen, this plane flies very, very far, and it's very accurate as well. And finally, last year's grand prize winner was Mighty Eagle by Zion. Now you can see this is just an excellent performance glider, and it's easy to fold. I really do think it was just the flight characteristics of this plane that made so many of you excited to vote for it as your favorite from the competition, and I have to say, I was very impressed as well. All you will need in order to fold Mighty Eagle is an 8.5 by 11 or A4 sheet of paper, and we will begin by folding this right edge to the left edge. And now with our right edge as the folded edge, I'm going to take this top edge and fold it to that right edge. And my crease should go right through this top right corner of the paper. And once I've done that, I'll flip the paper over and fold this edge now to our left edge, which is the folded edge. And now I can open this paper up into this orientation, and I want to fold this top point down to just about an inch above the bottom of the paper. It doesn't have to be exact, just any estimation of close to an inch should work, and that's for 8.5 by 11 or for A4 sheet of paper. And now with a paper like this, you can see we have this point where our center crease intersects the top edge. I'm going to fold from that point to this outer point right here. And the layers are kind of thick, so you can work to kind of roll them into place before placing your crease, and that will help you to be a bit more accurate. Like so. And now I'll do the same thing on the left side. And your plane should now look like this. Next, I'm going to fold this top point down, and you can see we have these layers here, and we're imagining the point where this layer is intersecting this center crease, and that's where I want to land my point here. Anything close to that's going to be fine. This does not have to be exact. And again, I'm just kind of rolling my layers because they're so thick. That's helping to prevent the paper from wrinkling too much, and it's going to help me to be more accurate. And you'll notice these outer points right here are especially going to fight you, and you can kind of work on them exactly as I'm doing here as you hone in that crease. And that helps to prevent your crease from curving, helps to prevent your layers from wrinkling too much. Now you can see we have these bubbles in the paper, I'm going to sweep out like this just to flatten that. I'll do the same thing on this side, just to take a little slack out of the paper. And now I'm going to fold this point up here just high enough to cover this point, and maybe a 1/4 inch past that. And that's going to lock our layers together now as we fold it, as we fold it in half, like so. You can see that holds the layers tight to the plane. And next I want to fold the wing of my plane, and the crease is going to go from about here to there on the back. I want this crease to be parallel to the center crease of my plane. And it's going to cut through this triangular tab, not go above it. And again, I'm just kind of rolling those layers until I find exactly where I want to place my crease. And I'm making sure that this edge here lands on this edge right there, and that's making sure that my wing crease is going to be parallel to that center crease. Okay, and now I'll flip that over and fold this wing to match. Okay, and now I'm going to fold winglets where I'm just folding this edge up a little bit, and this winglet's going to be about 1/2 inch wide. Once I fold one, I can flip it over, fold the other to match. And now I'll open the plane to this orientation here. And I want to fold from about this point here, halfway between this point and the back edge of the plane, to this point here where the wing crease intersects the back edge of the plane. This doesn't have to be exact. You can see I actually maybe went a little ahead of that midpoint, and that's totally fine. And now, when I open this back up, I'm going to poke this, and basically this crease here is correct, but this crease here needs to be reversed, and I can kind of pull that triangle up like so, and now my fin pokes out the middle of the plane. Now you can see that these wings are a bit wider front to back than the wings here, and this is folded from A4 proportion paper. This is folded from 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper. In either case, you're going to need to add quite a bit of up elevator to the wings, and I like to bend from this point here all the way to this point here, kind of like so, and that creates this whole surface becomes an elevator that's going to help your plane's nose stay aloft, help prevent it from diving. And that's how you get that really beautiful glide ratio that you saw in the flight tests for this plane. Congratulations once again to all of last year's winners, and good luck to everyone who enters this year's competition. I am genuinely so excited to see your submissions and just to get to experience your creativity. I have a lot of fun with this. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.